Hey everyone. There is quite a lot of chat at the moment on the docket. Blake Lively, she goes through these phases where she has like phrases that she just beats people over the head with. Um, the current one at the moment is toxic work environment. So I'm sure people have already worked out where I'm going to go with this, but let's talk about toxic work environment and Blake Lively. So we are going back to this story. This was actually printed in May last year, but the story itself actually it originates from 2014, and this basically it involves Blake Lively's preserve company. Okay, I'm just gonna have a read of it, um, because this was kind of settled. There were like settlement payments made, and nothing ever went through a court. I can't find anything. Um, and there is another reason why it is quite hard to find anything about this. Okay, so Blake Lively's now defunct lifestyle brand was a toxic and unprofessional workplace that ended up mired in messy legal claims, ex-staffer told the Daily Mail. Established in 2014, Preserve was meant to be Blake's answer to Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop. Goop. Isn't that stuff, that candle that smells like a vagina? Not quite sure that's a flex. Sorry. So that made me think then. Established in 2014, Preserve was meant to be Blake's answer to Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop, selling high-priced artisanal goods online, but it crashed and burned within a year. Much like the brands at the moment that she's saying have all crashed and burned because of Wayfarer. She's just no good at running, marketing. She's no good at owning companies. The Daily Mail spoke to 6 former employees of the company who revealed the shocking inside story of the chaotic company, with some expressing outrage at the irony of the entitled actress's claims of an inappropriate workplace leveled against her co-star Justin Baldoni. Preserve was run out of a Manhattan studio apartment owned by Blake's brother Eric Lively, where he allegedly drank alcohol, smoked pot, frequently left staff out in the cold when he overslept, and forced them to work sitting on the floor for months before buying furniture, the ex-employees claim. As a boss of the company, 43-year-old Eric, who got married in 2005, even had an affair with one of the employees, 3 former staff members told the Daily Mail. The entire company was an absolute disaster, one staffer said. The workplace allegations that Blake is making now against Baldoni are deeply ironic, given that it was one of the most insane, toxic, emotionally draining, and disorganized environments you could imagine. Wow, do you know what? Do you know what this reminds me of? The Glassdoor employee reviews of what it's like to work at Jones Works. I'll put a link to that video. It's fucking hilarious, right? Because I go through the reviews of ex-employees of Jones Works, and like it's literally shit like this. It's so funny. Birds of a feather. The impression Blake left on me after I worked at Preserve is that she doesn't care, said another ex-employee. It was a really toxic work environment. Staff spoke anonymously, fearing backlash. Oh, backlash. There's another buzzword. From the Livelies for calling out the allegedly shambolic and inappropriate work environment the actress presided over. It's interesting that people feared backlash. I'm starting to see now that her entire complaint was based on personal experience, but not in the sense that she wants everyone to believe. Many were asked to sign non-disclosure agreements about the dramatic implosion of the company, staff said. Some were also said to have received settlements of up to $300,000 after threatening legal action over their treatment. Now, that is a substantial payment. That is a substantial payment just to keep things out of, like a very public, more formal setting, which to me tells me, right, that there was some really shady shit going on that they did not want, becoming public. And yet not even a whisper leaked to the press at the time, supposedly thanks to the work of Blake's fastidious publicist, Leslie Sloane, who is currently also embroiled in the legal battle with Baldoni. And just to show you, right, because Blake Lively has made such a thing of that message from Melissa Nathan saying we can bury anyone. It was literally the headline in the New York Times. I'm gonna go here for a second. This is Blake's motion to dismiss. Literally, she's like taken that word and gone, public relations instrument designed to further the Wayfarer Party's sinister campaign to bury and destroy Miss Lively. Right. So, and when I talk about buzzwords, that like this was one of them. Was nearly every file, and it was some kind of reference to when Wayfarer said that they would bury Miss Lively, and we heard about it for about a year. I'm just going to show you how normal these terms are in PR with the next line. Leslie Sloane shut it down, one staffer said. They buried every single thing from that company. So Leslie Sloane is alleged to have previously buried a story. It's a perfectly normal thing. It does not mean, as Lively is trying to make people believe, that they are going to literally, bury her. I mean, she's speaking as if they're going to do some kind of David Blaine shit to her. They're not. It's just, it's a term of, hiding things or, trying to prevent things becoming public knowledge. And when Wayfarer said, I fully believe that they onboarded Melissa Nathan, as they kept saying, in case Blake Lively makes her false complaints, etc. She runs with the complaints that she's made, makes them public. And Melissa Nathan is talking about when she says we can bury her, she's literally talking about the complaints, the threats, the extortion. Because it's really shitty that people leverage false allegations to then blackmail someone. But it is really the lowest of the low when you've got everything you wanted and then you go and do the one thing that you promised you wouldn't do in exchange for all of this anyway, which is, usually make things public. So we continue. Preserve had a promising beginning. Blake partnered with successful Los Angeles marketing businessman Krishnan Menon, who helped launch Preserve using staff from his company Phenomenon Marketing in 2014. Florid blog posts on a glossy website promoted earthy recipes and artisanal apparel amid glowing Polaroid promotional snaps of Blake. Yeah, we believe that nurturing a better tomorrow upholds the yesterday we cherish. For all of us, the About Us page grandly proclaims, and let's just not forget that the yesterday that they claim to cherish was sort of hints to the colonial period and slavery. But staff claim that when Blake's brother became involved in a leadership role, things went downhill fast. Eric was a handsome Hollywood actor with a notable role in the 1999 Disney Channel show So Weird, and previous small roles in The L Word, Full House, and American Pie. Blake Lively's dad was in American Pie too, actually, as well. So, but his career did not soar like his sister's, whose career has only soared because she married Ryan Reynolds. Eric filed for bankruptcy in, I can't see, 2000 something, but I can't see it. His last on-screen role came in 2014, according to his IMDb page, right? Okay. Oh, he filed for bankruptcy in 2009. In the fall of 2014, Preserve moved from Phenomenon's LA offices to Eric's studio apartment in Lower Manhattan. He hired about 8 20-somethings from the world of digital marketing and design, and for the next year had a reign of chaos, according to some staffers. Eric was completely unqualified to run a company, much like his sister. One employee said, I am paraphrasing throughout this. They did not say much like his sister, that's me. Eric was completely unqualified to run a company, one employee said. There were a lot of ways in which the employment was unprofessional. For many weeks or months, there were no desks. We had to sit on the floor. The irony of it being a lifestyle site that was selling these really expensive wares was not lost on anyone. It was a big studio. There wasn't a delineation between living quarters and working quarters. The bed was part of the same room. Oh my God. There was a whiteboard, but it wasn't really furnished. I felt like he was being an actor, acting the part of creative director of this company. One day, suddenly out of nowhere, he said, You need to put together a strategy and present it tomorrow. You show up for work the next day and he's still asleep. Others said they were frequently left outside in the cold on weekday mornings, waiting for Eric to let them in. People would be outside in the cold and he wouldn't let them in because he was still laying in bed smoking a bowl. One claimed he was taking lots of prescription pills. He would openly smoke. He drank too. We'd get to the office and it would smell like weed, another staffer claimed. It was clear he partied the night before. Another staffer said Eric was very charismatic and convincing. You want to be around him. Is that the one that had an affair with him? Allegedly. But at the same time, you don't know what you're in for when you're around him, they added. We were subject to his moods and whims, and those were very dysregulated. There was anger. You had to walk on eggshells. Do you know, I'm pretty sure Justin Baldoni felt the same about Blake Lively. And talk about mood swings. Ryan Reynolds screaming at him for 6 hours. I'm being really snarky today. I'm it's been a long year. And I feel like, exactly as this says, the irony to be bitching that someone has said that your outfit is sexy and then, claiming it made you so traumatized that you couldn't leave your bed and it changed your children and your husband's mood suffered greatly because of it all. And also to try and wheel in experts who talk about suicidal ideation, right? When you did this to these people, when you were the employer. Like, are you kidding, woman? Um, there was no one with a sane mind watching over us, another employee said. Eric would tell us to do random things. We'd have random meetings that went nowhere. One insider said they were told about a particularly bungled 2015 photo shoot. Preserve employees and a fashion model were allegedly driven to Blake's mansion in Westchester County, north of New York, to plan for the upcoming shoot. But Blake didn't emerge until 2 hours after the group arrived. Yeah, that sounds like her work ethic. She probably had strep throat. Staff said Blake came out of her house hours late looking like an absolute mess. Oh, I've actually got tears. The insider said If it's the hair, it might be the product she's promoting. The whole idea was to show that she was styling the shoes. All she was doing was adding accessories like bracelets for the picture. That was her only input. Yet she did that. She does that a lot. Honestly, when Blake Lively tries to give the impression that she's able to style anything, the only thing she might be in with a shot of styling is a scarecrow. The insider added, other employees told me about a preserved fashion shoot run by Eric in New York. Days later, Blake had no part in it. He had somehow finagled students from a film school to assist with the shoot as free interns, and it was a disaster. Staff said the environment was frantic. Late at night, in our fifth floor walk up, they were hiking gear of five flights of stairs in a panicked rush. Late nights were not unusual, according to one employee. Some people were working every single day, 20 hours a day, a crazy amount, not because there was work to be done, but because it was so dysfunctional and Eric captured people into his sphere, the staffer said. The use of Eric's loft as an all hours business irked neighbors who filed several complaints with the New York City Department of Buildings in January 2015. Inspectors visited but were unable to gain entry. Well, that was because he was still in bed smoking a bowl. Half the time his employees couldn't gain entry. Building department complaints accused Preserve of illegal commercial manufacturing use in residential zone, with an anonymous filer writing, I would like to report someone who is using their apartment as an online business and can constantly have 10 to 20 people in the apartment at a time. Staff said one irate complainant was their downstairs neighbor, former NHL player Sean Avery. However, Avery, 45, played down the alleged nuisance when contacted by the Daily Mail, saying it was fine, really, as far as New York neighbors go, adding that he met Blake once and found her to be very nice and beautiful. Three staff members also told the Daily Mail that Eric had a sexual relationship with one of his employees. Some were uncomfortable about the relationship, knowing Eric had been married to Angelina Davidova, 47, since 2005. It appears the two have not divorced, though Davidova has not appeared in any of Eric's public social media posts on Facebook or Instagram for several years. Davidova did not respond to a request for comment. Paychecks were sometimes haphazard too. Two staff members were said to be unable to afford their subway fares when Preserve failed to pay them on time, amid the slow collapse of the brand in 2015. In the preceding months, Blake had been juggling work and pregnancy with her first child, James, born in December 2014, and had been spending some time in her husband Ryan Reynolds' hometown of Vancouver. But by the spring of 2015, she was traveling back to New York City, including appearing on the Times Square set of Good Morning America on April 21st, 2015, to promote her movie, The Age of Adeline. At their wits' end with the chaotic and toxic workplace, senior Preserve staff arranged a meeting with Blake at a hotel in New York City in the spring of 2015 to ask for help, employees told the Daily Mail. Blake immediately shut down and said she wouldn't be entertaining anything about her brother, one staffer said. The entire meeting was about Eric, and Blake just didn't want to hear anything about it, so it went nowhere. When they went to have the meeting, Blake didn't care about any of it and didn't want to hear about any of it, said another staffer, which is why some employees ended up going through with legal action. Indeed, some staff threatened to sue, though all alleged disputes appeared to have been settled before public court documents were filed. One employee is said to have received a settlement of up to $300,000 and moved out of state. Sources close to the company said the multiple legal actions were launched after the company started firing staff. All were asked to sign non-disclosure agreements to stay silent about the goings-on at the company. Do you know what is ironic about that? Is part of her entire complaint, a big part too, of her entire complaint is that she's claiming she's been retaliated against for speaking out. And yet she's telling people, getting them to sign non-disclosure agreements and giving, one of them up to $300,000, and they moved out the state. Was that at her request? Or, like, the irony of, bringing an entire lawsuit because you feel that you are getting backlash because you spoke up about something, a toxic work environment. So, and you're saying, like, oh, I'm getting annoyed now, but and then you're forcing people to sign non-disclosure agreements to stay silent. Okay. Preserve's shutdown was reported in 2015, with many articles mocking its pretentious blog posts and lack of successful business plan. In a June 2015 interview with Time magazine, and don't forget, Time just called her Woman of the Year. Not at all bought and paid for by Ryan Reynolds. Blake blamed the brand's lackluster launch on sexism. Well, where have we heard that before, everyone? Here we go. We are playing the misogyny card again. We saw it in the whole lawsuit. We saw it in the PGA letter. We saw it in text to Justin when she was trying to get him to allow her to have a go at writing the rooftop scene. Misogyny, misogyny, misogyny. It's not fair. I'm a woman. Everything. Everything. She runs a bad business which treats her employees badly. Oh, well, that's just sexism. Shut up. I'm so over this. Oh, she also blamed the media, who, she's used very much to her full advantage in this lawsuit. Like, they literally kick-started the whole thing for her. And since then, she's been generating headline after headline by having the court documents completely misinterpreted and mischaracterized. But, back then, 10 years ago, everything that went to shit was the media's fault. They pit women against each other. Oh my God. Here we go. They pit women against each other, she said. You don't see male entrepreneurs pitted against each other, destroyed, picked apart, and every word they say served up to judge. Well, actually, yes, we do, because that's what's happened with Wayfarer. A company where you are dragging their two co-founders and their he's president, isn't he? President or CEO, Jamie Heath. You're dragging them to court and doing exactly the same shit. Blake also claimed the launch of her business was rushed in order to be featured in the August 2014 edition of Vogue magazine. Well, she made sure not to make that mistake again, and that's probably why she spent the best part of over 2 months perfecting her story with the New York Times. I'm being really snarky. It's quite out of characteristic. It's quite out of character for me at the moment, but I really am, like, I think I'm over this woman. We had a Vogue cover set up, so I couldn't call Anna Wintour, who's also made an appearance in this lawsuit, and say, "I need 6 more months," she said. The actress added that her staff were a team of amazing people coming to work and bleeding, sweating, and crying every day and loving it. Yeah, no, I think I can get on board with the bleeding, sweating, and crying every day. It doesn't sound like they loved it. Those staff have remained silent on their experience until now. Some ex-employees told the Daily Mail they decided to speak out after seeing Blake accuse Baldoni of sexual harassment and an unprofessional environment on the set of their movie It Ends With Us. Yeah, you know all the bitching that her and her attorneys have done in Justin, Steve's, and Jamie's depositions, where they're like, "Yeah, but what does your policy say? Did you follow your policy?" Blah 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 blah, and like just really went to town on them. Oh, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that and you didn't follow your policy and you failed to initiate an investigation. Like this bitch just got put out NDAs and refused to listen. And like, oh, here's money. Money will make everything better. They continue. It is so ironic that she filed a workplace lawsuit when her workplace had three legal claims. One preserve staffer said. 3 out of roughly 8 employees made legal claims. She didn't care to understand how the mismanagement of her brother could be affecting us, said another. She's entitled and extremely out of touch and really only cares about herself. She was always very nice to me, said a third. But you would think that for somebody so concerned with their image and the narrative, there would have been more care taken to make sure things were more professional. Amen to that. um, so, yeah, I just want to kind of go back up here a minute. Where is it? Yeah, this bit in particular, right? Let's see if I can highlight it. Oh, so this bit here, to suggest that, you know, like a, a publicist burying bad press, you know, whether it be about a company or in the case of Wayfair, a person, you know, it is not the nefarical, you know, demonic act that Blake Lively is portraying it to be. It is actually a very normal part of PR. As for me, this seems to evidence, like, you know, I mean, this won't be evidence. You know, I'm sure they will bring up this situation and Blake Lively's running a preserve, you know, like, because they pretty much alluded to it, like, you know, there is a history of Blake Lively, you know, her failures with companies, and I have absolutely no doubt that this is going to be one of those. So there's no need for anyone to send anything to the lawyers. They will already know about this. They will have done all this research, and they will have this. Um, it's the word though. It's the word, because she kind of really hones in on words, and we did it with oh, where was it? Yeah, I found it actually. So in my letter to not the motion to quash, but we all wrote a subsequent letter as well. Um, when Ezra Hudson kind of rushed in to say, "Judge, don't worry, just deny these as moot. You know, we got the information we needed, right? We got shit. You know, we met and conferred with these people. They didn't, right?" And then somewhere in the middle, right, of a letter where she was talking specifically about me, Cassidy, Lauren, Ashley, and Ken's, right? She was very specifically talking, like, so the first paragraph was about us, the last paragraph was about us, and then in this middle, she put in this really out of place comment, you know, like, and the about where the origins of the word untraceable, which Lively was using in just about every other filing, right? And you know, we were mocking that a little bit, right? We weren't we were just kind of saying, well, you know, we're not part of this, and we'd put in kind of quotes and italics, not part of this, untraceable, and we'd emphasize the word untraceable because that's what Lively was doing. So we were kind of mirroring her actions. But I actually called her out, right? For Let's see. I called her out. This is my letter, docket number 559. This is not the motion to quash. This is the follow-up letter. Got quite snarky. Inconsistent, if nothing else. But in the middle of her, I'm going to highlight this actually, just so people can see what I'm referring to. In the middle of her letter regarding us content creators and the motions to quash, we filed. So I was emphasizing the word us and we because she was making references to stuff that did not apply to us. Like I say, like meet and confers and getting information, which she didn't get from any of us. In the middle of her letter regarding us content creators and the motion to quash we filed, Miss Hudson clarifies who coined the term untraceable digital campaign. It is not clear whether her comments are directed at us, but as one of the content creators the letter is referring to, I'm happy to respond to help clear up any confusion. Whilst I appreciate that it was supposed to be the term was coined. Whilst I appreciate that the term was coined by Melissa Nathan in one of the messages obtained by the Van Zandt sham subpoena, this fact had been long forgotten due to Miss Lively's referencing the term on a loop in nearly every filing on every docket related to this action. I'm obviously referring to Texas as well. There was the Friedman subpoena in California. There was the Venable, the Taylor Swift motion to quash as well in DC. Yeah. Yeah, this is so yeah. Whilst I appreciate that the term was coined by Melissa Nathan in one of the messages obtained by the Van Zandt sham subpoena, this fact had been long forgotten due to Ms. Lively referencing the term on a loop in nearly every filing on every docket related to this action across multiple jurisdictions. Speaking for myself, I simply assumed that Ms. Lively had taken authorship of the term. I thank counsel for affirming its true origins. So, so I'm kind of I pick up on these little details because I'm watching all the dockets, and I have done from the start of time, and I'm noticing like little patterns and things. So I called this shit out. I called it out with her. I was like, oh, hold on a minute. I'm sorry. Forgive me for forgetting that it was Melissa Nathan who coined the term. Miss Lively has, used it so much one could, assume that she'd simply taken authorship. And I basically kind of, threw back some snark at them. And by this point, I was having a little bit of fun with it because, the subpoena had now been withdrawn. And I was like, do you know what? How dare you do this to me and think it's okay and think that I am not going to, slap some shit back in your face. There were some typos in here, admittedly, which I'm annoyed about, but I actually wrote this from I was on a cruise. I was on holiday, believe it or not, on a cruise ship with very limited tools at my disposal, and I had to pay I was on holiday for the 2 weeks, and I live streamed nearly every night and still kept up with the dockets and kept up as best possible with my ex posts. And I think the internet cost me £400 just for that 2 weeks because it was like, maritime, like a cruise liner, when they sell you the internet, it's extortionate. Now, to put into perspective, I pay about £30 a month normally at home for internet. This was £400 for just those 2 weeks. It was absolutely wild. And I had to kind of jump through hoops to get this to the court because they didn't get the electronic copy. So I had to email over a copy for someone to print off in hard form, someone who is in America, and for them to kind of overnight it to the court. But yeah, it is just a recurring theme with Lively where she'll take a word completely out of context and just go, just hit you over the head with it and club you like you're a baby seal. And then when you kind of like, because when you say you use it like in a filing against her, like used it in our motions to quash, and then Ezra Hudson's like, just to remind everyone, it wasn't Miss Lively who came up with the term untraceable, it was Melissa Nathan. And then you're like, great, thank you. You've left the door now open for me to come back and go, yeah, but I used it ironically because of you. And that's what we did here. So yeah. I will leave a link to the video about the Stephanie Jones employee reviews as well, because oh my god, that was a screamer. That was such a funny video. But you know, clearly Blake Lively and Stephanie Jones and what it's like to work for them is not too far away. So when you think about the websites, obviously Stephanie Jones is also complaining that she's been smeared and all this crap, and they made these defamatory websites and all that. The thing is, right, is the Glassdoor employee reviews are from verified employees who have worked for Jones Works, either past, present, or they've been through the hiring process and are about to start. So these are not people who have not actually had some experience of working with Jones Works. So, and honestly, the reviews are quite well, I worry about Stephanie Jones. I do wonder if she needs an assessment of some kind, judging by those reviews. But now we read this story about the experience of the employees who worked for Blake Lively and Eric Lively at Preserve. Well, part of me was wondering if it was the same employees at one point. But clearly, no, they're just working for women who believe that they are these kind of strong boss women, independent women who have set up their businesses and are doing really well. And yes, on the surface, they are doing really well. Especially, when you're married to someone who is also at the top of his game as well. But, take all that away and they are really horrible people. Horrible people. But let me know what you think in the comments.